What if I told you that your favorite motorcycle reviewer might be lying to you? They get free flights to Europe, ride a new bike for 20 minutes, and call it a game changer. But they never pay the actual service bills. The truth is, most of the praised motorcycles on the internet are actually mechanical nightmares. Today, we are exposing 15 award-winning bikes you must avoid. We start with an Italian bargain at number 15 that is secretly cheap, but you'll regret later. Now beware, there is a legendary superbike on this list that literally melts its own internal components at a stoplight. Stay with us to find out. Number 15. The Benelli TNT600. At launch, reviewers and magazines praised the Benelli TNT600 for being the bargain of the century. They loved the screaming inline-4 engine note and the Italian design at a Chinese price point. Magazines called it the perfect entry-level four-cylinder for riders who could not afford a Yamaha or Honda. But what actual long-term owners discovered was that the Italian flair was just a thin veneer over mediocre engineering. While the press bikes shifted smoothly during those 2-hour test rides, owners found that after 3,000 miles, the gearbox felt like it was full of gravel. The most common complaints from owners after 2 years of ownership involve electrical gremlins, specifically dashboards that go dark in the rain and fuel pumps that quit without warning. Reviewers completely glossed over the fact that the wiring harness looks like it was assembled in a high school science fair. Known reliability issues include cooling fan failures and leaking fork seals that appear long after the short test rides are over. The running costs that were not apparent in the review are the hidden killers. Because the dealer network is sparse in the United States, getting simple parts like a throttle cable can take months. You might save $3,000 on the purchase, but you lose it when the bike sits in your garage for an entire summer waiting for a gasket. These issues are an absolute deal breaker because they turn a motorcycle into a stationary sculpture. Someone who only rides to coffee meets and enjoys a project might still consider this bike. But anyone who needs a reliable machine to get to work definitely should stay away. But if you think a Chinese-built Italian bike is risky, wait until you see the unstoppable adventure bike at number 14 that has a habit of snapping in half. Number 14. The Royal Enfield Himalayan 411. Reviewers loved the Himalayan at launch. They praised its unstoppable tractor-like power, its retro charm, and its incredibly low price. Go anywhere for $5,000, the headline screamed. They called it the ultimate minimalist adventure bike. However, owners discovered that minimalist often meant underbuilt. After 2 years, owners reported cracked frames near the headstock and luggage mounts. The tractor engine that reviewers called charming turned out to be dangerously slow on American highways, leaving riders vulnerable to semi-trucks. Actual owners found that the most common complaints after 3 years involved total brake failure and wheels that refuse to stay true. Known reliability issues include failing compass sensors, leaking head gaskets, and spokes that rust and snap if they even see a puddle. The running costs are low for oil changes, but high for tires and chains because the bike is heavy for its low horsepower, putting unnecessary strain on every consumable. Reviewers miss the fact that the metal quality is so low that the bike literally disintegrates if you live near the ocean. Is it a deal breaker? For highway touring, yes. It is only manageable for local trail riding if you can weld your own reinforcements. New riders who stay under 50 miles per hour might enjoy the charm, but anyone planning a cross-country trip through the Rockies should definitely look elsewhere. And yet, even a cracked frame is easier to fix than the maintenance schedule of the motocross-derived nightmare sitting at number 13. Number 13, the Honda CR F450 RL. Magazines hailed this as the holy grail of dual sports. A true motocross bike with a license plate, they cheered. They praised the lightweight and the incredible suspension. It sounded like the bike that would kill every European competitor. But actual owners discovered the brutal reality of a race bike with a plate. Reviewers completely glossed over the 600-mile oil change intervals. If you use this as a commuter, you're doing an oil change every week and a full valve check every few months. The most common complaints from owners after 1 year include a herky-jerky throttle that makes slow speed technical riding a nightmare and a seat that feels like a 2x4. Reliability issues include premature clutch wear and a flimsy subframe that cannot handle real luggage. The running costs are effectively the same as running a factory race team. You are paying for high-strung performance that is miserable on the street. Reviewers failed to mention that the ECU mapping is so lean from the factory that the bike stalls at every stoplight, unless you spend another $1,000 on an aftermarket tuner. This is a deal breaker for 99% of riders. It is only manageable if you want a Trailer Queen dirt bike. Hardcore off-roaders who live near the trails should still consider it, but anyone who thinks this is a replacement for a Suzuki DRZ should definitely avoid it. Stay tuned, because as bad as a weekly oil change is, it is nothing compared to the modern art bike at number 12 that will leave you stranded with a leaking fuel tank. Number 12, the Husqvarna Vitpilen 701. Reviewers call this bike modern art on wheels. They praise the punchy single-cylinder engine and the futuristic cafe racer styling. It won design awards and glowing reviews for its flickability in city traffic. But owners discovered that art is painful. The aggressive ergonomics that felt okay for a 20-minute press ride became torture after an hour. The most common complaints involve fuel leaks from the plastic tank and a dashboard that vibrates so hard it becomes unreadable at highway speeds. Reviewers missed the fragility of the components. Known reliability issues include the Magura clutch slave cylinder, which famously fails, leaving you stranded without a way to shift gears. The running costs are high because Husqvarna parts are premium priced, and the bespoke plastics are expensive to replace if you drop it. Reviewers never mentioned that the radiator mounts are so weak that they often crack just from engine vibrations. These issues are manageable only if you replace the clutch slave cylinder with an aftermarket unit immediately and never plan to ride more than 30 miles at a time. Stylists who ride 10 miles to a photo shoot should still consider it, but anyone over 6 feet tall or with bad wrists definitely should not. Of course, a sore wrist is a small price to pay compared to the supercharged maintenance bills of the machine at number 11. Number 11, the Kawasaki Ninja H2 SX. Reviewers were stunned by the supercharged power. They praised the effortless speed and the high-tech electronics. A private jet for the road, they called it. It seemed like the ultimate sport tourer for the man who has everything. But actual owners discovered that owning a supercharger is a full-time job. After 3 years, owners complained about tire wear that is mathematically absurd, expecting a new rear tire every 2,000 miles. Reviewers completely missed the complexity of the long-term maintenance. Known reliability issues include the supercharger impellers needing microscopic inspections and the massive heat generated by the engine warping the plastic fairings. The running costs are some of the highest in the Japanese world. One major service interval can cost $2,000. The dealer network is large, but very few technicians actually know how to work on a supercharged motorcycle correctly. This is a deal breaker for anyone on a budget. It is only manageable if you have a limitless tire budget and a dedicated Kawasaki master tech. Speed freaks who want to dominate the highway should still consider it, but budget-conscious tourers definitely should not. But wait, if you think a Ninja is heavy on tires, the torque monster at number 10 will make you wish you owned a tire factory. Number 10, the Triumph Rocket. 3R magazines focused entirely on the torque. 2,458 cc's of pure muscle. They loved the acceleration and the surprising agility for its size. It was the king of the power cruisers. But owners discovered that the king is heavy. After a year, owners complained about the $500 rear tire that lasts as long as a stick of gum. Reviewers missed how difficult the bike is to maneuver in a garage or parking lot once the press launch adrenaline wears off. Common complaints after 2 years involve the brake pads wearing out in record time due to the massive weight of the machine. Known reliability issues include leaking final drive seals and a finicky keyless ignition system that refuses to recognize the fob if it is near a cell phone. Running costs are high due to the sheer volume of fluids the massive engine requires. It holds more oil than some small cars. Is it a deal breaker? No, but you must be physically strong and financially stable to own one. People who want to win every stoplight race should still consider it, but smaller riders or people who commute in tight city traffic definitely should not. However, a heavy bike is easy to handle compared to the ghost codes and software glitches of the adventure bike at number 9. Number 9. The Harley-Davidson Pan America 1250. Reviewers cheered Harley's entry into the adventure market. They praised the adaptive ride height and the powerful Revolution Max engine. The bike that changes everything for Harley, they said. But owners discovered that changing everything included a lot of software bugs. After 2 years, the forums are flooded with owners complaining about bikes that will not start due to ghost codes in the ECU. Reviewers missed the electrical fragility. The most common complaints involve the dashboard freezing and the bike going into limp mode for no apparent reason. Known reliability issues include failing starters and batteries that die after a week of sitting. The running costs are higher than traditional Harleys because the engine is liquid-cooled and far more complex to service. You cannot just fix this in your shed with a wrench. You need a dealership computer? This is a deal breaker for world travelers. It is only manageable if you stay current on every single software update and keep it on a battery tender every single night. Harley fans who want to go off-road should still consider it, but anyone who needs a bike to start in the middle of a desert definitely should stay away. Stay vigilant, because as bad as the software is here, the infotainment nightmare at number 8 is even more frustrating. Number 8. The Indian Challenger. Magazines called this the Harley killer. They praised the water-cooled engine, the inverted forks, and the massive power advantage. It won almost every bagger shootout in 2021 and 22. But actual owners discovered that the infotainment system is a nightmare. Owners report the ride command screen freezing, losing GPS signal, and refusing to connect to Bluetooth. Reviewers missed how heavy the steering feels at low speeds compared to its competitors. The most common complaints after 3 years involve the saddlebag latches failing and the clunky shifting that some owners say leads to missed gears. Known reliability issues include water pump leaks and electrical shorts in the handlebar controls. The running costs are high because the dealer network is much smaller than Harley's, meaning longer trips for simple warranty work. Is it a deal breaker? No, but the electronics are a constant irritant. Performance bagger fans who want more speed should still consider it. But people who expect their navigation to work every single time definitely should not. But if you think a bagger is expensive to fix, the king of the superbikes at number 7 will show you the true meaning of a repair bill. Number 7. The BMW S1000RR K67 generation. Reviewers called it the king of the superbikes. They praised the shift cam technology and the easy speed. It was the bike that was supposed to put BMW back on top. But owners discovered that it is the king of recalls. From leaking brake calipers to engine replacements due to faulty oil pumps, the early owners felt like unpaid test pilots. Owners report constant SOS system errors and TFT screens that delaminate in the sun. Known reliability issues include the water pump and oil pump assembly failing and premature camshaft wear. Running costs are legendary. BMW M parts are eye-wateringly expensive. A set of carbon wheels is a 5-figure mistake if you hit a pothole. This is a deal breaker if you are out of warranty. It is only manageable if you have a full factory service plan. Track riders with deep pockets should still consider it, but anyone looking for Japanese-style reliability definitely should stay away. Of course, even a BMW service bill is better than the fuel range anxiety of the crossplane monster at number 6. Number 6. The Yamaha MT-10. Magazines love the crossplane howl, the best-sounding naked bike ever. They praised the R1-derived engine and the torque. It was the ultimate street weapon. But actual owners discovered that the fuel economy is a joke. Owners report getting as low as 25 miles per gallon. You spend your entire ride looking for the next gas station. Reviewers also glossed over the comfort seat, which owners say feels like a brick after 50 miles. The most common complaints after 2 years involve the throttle response being too jerky in the aggressive modes. Known reliability issues include the EXUP valve seizing in the exhaust and the stator cooking itself on high-mileage bikes. Running costs are high because of the fuel bill and the fact that it shreds rear tires. Is it a deal breaker? No, but it is manageable only if you do not mind stopping them for gas every 100 miles. Riders who want the best sound in the world should still consider it, but long-distance tourers or commuters on a budget definitely should not. Stay tuned, because the soul of the Italian bike, at number 5, comes with a very high price tag. Number 5, the Aprilia Tuono V4 1100. Reviewers call this the greatest naked bike of all time. They praise the chassis, the V4 engine, and the electronics. A superbike with a soul, they called it. But owners discovered that soul means temperamental. Owners report waiting months for simple parts to arrive from Italy. Reviewers miss the fragility of the cooling system. These bikes hate traffic and will overheat in minutes. When the temperature gauge starts blinking red at a stoplight, you can practically hear the engine cannibalizing itself. The cooling fans are notorious for melting their own wiring connectors because the radiant heat off the exhaust headers is absolutely brutal. When that fan stops spinning, you have roughly 3 minutes to pull over before the cylinder heads warp. The most common complaints involve the valve clearance checks. Known reliability issues include dropping valves in the early models and leaking fuel tanks. Reviewers never warned you about the ethanol problem. The plastic fuel tanks absorb American fuel and literally expand. Owners report taking the gas tank off for routine maintenance and being completely unable to bolt it back onto the frame because it grew by ½ inch. You are forced to leave the tank sitting in the sun to shrink or buy a completely new one for $800. Furthermore, the stator is a ticking time bomb. It cooks itself in the engine oil, leaving you with a dead battery on the side of the highway. Running costs are extreme. The valve clearance check is a 10-hour labor job that most dealers charge over $1,000 for. If you skip this service, the engine will violently destroy itself. You are held hostage by the dealership because independent mechanics refuse to touch the complex timing chain. Is it a deal breaker? Manageable if you live near one of the few great Aprilia dealers and have a spare bike. People who want the ultimate riding experience should still consider it. But anyone who relies on their bike as their only form of transportation definitely should not. And yet, even a slow part from Italy is better than the dash of death at number 4. Number 4, the KTM 1290 Super Duke R. Reviewers called it the Beast. They praised the violent torque and the high-tech dash. It was the king of the hyper-nakeds. But actual owners discovered the KTM dash of death. Owners report the dashboard randomly resetting at highway speeds and the bike going into limp mode for no apparent reason. Imagine merging onto the interstate at 70 miles per hour when your screen suddenly goes completely black. Your traction control disables, your anti-lock brakes shut down, and the engine cuts up power. This is the terrifying reality for many owners. Reviewers rode pristine bikes fresh off the assembly line. But after one season of extreme heat cycles, the electronics begin to unravel. The factory wiring harness routes directly past the scorching V-twin cylinders, baking the delicate wires until the insulation cracks and triggers a cascade of sensor failures. Reviewers missed the electrical ghosts. The most common complaints involve the keyless ignition failing and the quick shifter becoming clunky after a few thousand miles. When that keyless ignition fails, you are stranded at the gas station holding a useless piece of plastic while your bike refuses to recognize the signal. The quick shifter, which magazines praised as flawless, relies on a fragile micro switch. Once it gets dirty from road grime, It forces you to wrestle with the gearbox, causing dangerous false neutrals during aggressive overtakes. You also must monitor the slave cylinder. It is famous for leaking fluid directly onto your left boot, leaving you without a working clutch in heavy city traffic. Known reliability issues include the rear hub bearing failing and the radiator leaking from the mounts. If you neglect that single-sided swing arm rear hub bearing, it will seize and destroy the entire rear axle. Replacing that assembly costs over $1,000 in parts alone. The radiator mounts are so weak, they snap under the sheer vibration of the massive engine block, spraying hot coolant across your front tire mid-corner. Running costs are high because the bike demands premium everything, oil, tires, and frequent dealer software updates. You must feed this monster the most expensive synthetic oil on the market. It will shred a rear tire in under 3,000 miles because of the massive low-end torque. Furthermore, you cannot reset the service light yourself in your garage. You are forced to visit a dealership and pay a $100 diagnostic fee just to turn off a dashboard warning. You must pay this KTM tax every single riding season. Is it a deal breaker? Manageable only if you are okay with a bike that is constantly telling you it has a problem. Torque junkies who love a challenge should still consider it, but people who want a stress-free ownership experience definitely should not. However, a buggy dash is a luxury compared to the spare parts nightmare of the machine at number 3. Number 3. The MV Agusta Brutale 800. Magazines called it motorcycle art. They praised the triple exhaust, the single-sided swing arm, and the beauty. The most beautiful bike in the world, the reviews said. But owners discovered that motorbike art belongs in a museum, not on the road. Owners report the bike being impossible to start if the temperature drops below 50 degrees. You will stand in your driveway listening to the starter motor whine endlessly while your riding buddies leave you behind. The factory charging system is famously weak, turning this exotic machine into a stunning paperweight on chilly mornings unless you keep it permanently attached to a battery tender. Reviewers missed the pitiable dealer support. If something breaks, you might as well buy a new bike while you wait for parts. For many American riders, the nearest certified technician is 3 states away. Because the corporate structure of the brand has been in a state of constant chaos, ordering a simple replacement body panel or a proprietary sensor can literally take 6 months. Your entire riding season will be completely ruined while your bike sits on a dealer lift collecting dust. Known reliability issues include failing sprag clutches and electrical looms that rub through the frame, causing catastrophic short circuits. When that sprag clutch fails, your engine sounds like a box of rocks rattling inside a washing machine. Fixing it requires tearing deep into the engine block, resulting in a massive labor bill that will easily eclipse $2,000. Furthermore, reviewers glossed over the snatchy ride-by-wire throttle. Trying to maintain a smooth speed in city traffic is a jerky, frustrating experience that exhausts your right wrist. The suspension takes the name Brutale literally, punishing your lower back on every single road imperfection. Running costs are off the charts. It is an exotic Italian machine with exotic Italian price tags. A simple oil change requires removing delicate fairings that use brittle plastic clips. If you snap one, you are waiting weeks for a replacement from Italy. Even basic consumable parts like brake pads and chain sprockets carry an aggressive, exotic tax. You are paying a heavy premium just for the privilege of parking it in your garage. Is it a deal breaker? Yes, for 99% of riders. People who want to look at their bike more than they ride it should still consider it, but everyone else should avoid it at all costs. Stay with me because the $3,000 service bill at number 2 will make your eyes water. Number 2. The Ducati Multistrada V4. Reviewers praise the 37,000-mile valve intervals. The ultimate long-distance tourer, they cheered. They loved the radar cruise control and the smooth V4 power. But owners discovered the $3,000 service bill. While the interval is long, the complexity of the job means when it finally comes due, it is a financial catastrophe. Ducati swapped their famous desmodromic valves for traditional springs to achieve that interval. but they omitted the fact that reaching those internal components requires disassembling half the motorcycle. Mechanics must remove the fuel tank, the side fairings, and the airbox just to expose the cylinder heads. You are paying for 12 hours of premium Italian labor before the technician even touches the engine valves. Owners also complain about the bike being incredibly hot to ride in the summer, with the engine heat cooking the rider's legs. Even with the rear cylinder deactivation technology that shuts off half the engine at idle, sitting at a stoplight feels like straddling a furnace. The exhaust routing traps ambient heat directly under the seat, making summer riding a test of pure endurance. If you commute in slow city traffic, your shins will suffer minor burns. Known reliability issues include early engine recalls for valve guides and software glitches in the radar system. That brilliant radar cruise control works flawlessly until road debris chips the front sensor. When that unit fails, the dashboard lights up with errors, disabling your cruise control and blind spot monitoring simultaneously. Replacing that sensor out of warranty will drain your bank account. Running costs are deceptive. It is a premium Ducati with premium labor rates. That powerful engine destroys rear tires in under 5,000 miles because of the massive torque output. Furthermore, it consumes premium fuel at a rapid rate. You will visit the gas station far more often than your riding buddies, killing the dream of uninterrupted cross-country touring. You also must factor in the chain drive maintenance, which requires constant cleaning and lubrication during long trips, unlike the maintenance-free shaft drive of its main German competitor. This is a deal breaker, unless you plan to trade it in before that major service interval hits. Wealthy travelers who want the best tech should still consider it, but high-mileage riders who lack a massive maintenance fund definitely should stay away. Finally, we reach the masterpiece at number 1 that is currently melting its own electronics in the sun. Number 1. The Ducati Panigale V4. Reviewers call this the pinnacle of motorcycling. They praise the MOTOGP-derived engine, the aerodynamic wings, and the unbelievable lap times. It is the bike every rider wants in their garage. But actual owners discovered that the Panigale is a furnace. The rear cylinder bank sits directly under your seat, acting like a space heater that you cannot turn off. In summer traffic, the bike generates so much heat, it melts its own plastic connectors and fries the battery. Owners report the aluminum frame becomes too hot to touch, even through professional track leathers. Your inner thighs will suffer burns after 20 minutes of stop-and-go riding. Reviewers rode these machines on open circuits where 60-mile-per-hour winds cleared the heat. They did not ride them in city traffic where owners actually live. Known reliability issues include the Hayes brake calipers leaking. This became a massive scandal in the community. Owners found puddles of corrosive brake fluid on their garage floors after a single night. The rear subframe on early models was prone to cracking under the weight of a passenger or aggressive riding. The electronics suite is brilliant until a sensor fails. One faulty quick shifter sensor can put the entire bike into a permanent limp mode, requiring a trip to a dealer with specialized diagnostic software. The running costs are the highest in the industry. The valve service, known as the Desmo service, requires a master technician and often costs over $2,000. Those sticky tires represent another hidden tax. Expect to drop $1,000 on a set of Pirelli Supercorsas that will be bald after 1,500 miles. Then there is the insurance. If you are under 30 years old, many companies will refuse to provide a quote. You are paying a premium for a machine that spent more time in a service bay than on the road. The most common complaint is that the bike is unrideable for more than 30 minutes without physical pain and heat exhaustion. Owners call this Panigale wrist. Is it a deal breaker? For a street bike, yes. For a track bike, it is a masterpiece. The wind at 150 miles per hour makes the heat disappear and the chassis sing. Professional racers and the ultra-wealthy should still consider it. But the average rider who thinks that this will be a fun bike for Sunday rides definitely should stay away. You're buying a racehorse to pick up groceries. Click on the next video in order to continue the ride. Subscribe to our channel and don't forget to like this video.